I'm going to go over how I leveled everything up, and I started with the front and I picked 3 spots. One was the engine mount, one was above the wings, and one was the tail section. And once I had all of this in the center of the bubble, I knew that that was my starting point. I had to use one sandbag to weight the plane down just a little bit to make sure everything stayed level. Now you could have put the gear off and used the fuselage, because I have taken some measurements from the table up to the fuselage, and that's square, but I really didn't want to remove the landing gear. Every set of airplane plans, there's usually a incident, and you can see here that that's 0, and then if you come back to the tail section, that was 0, and then the motor mount was 0. Once I came back to the engine mount and the support, I made sure that that was level, and that's where I based all of my measurements from. So I was starting from 0 here. Then the incidence of the wing, I'm going to make those 0. So I came with my incident meter, and if you can see, that bubble's hard to see because it's kind of a curved piece of glass, but that's 0. And I also checked the other wing when I was mounting the wings up. And then we come back here, and this is a minus 2. So, and that's not uncommon to have an airplane that will have different incidents. I've seen airplanes or built airplanes that this would be 0, or it would be a have down thrust of 3% or something like that. Then your wing might be 0, 0, I should say 0, and then your tail section might be 0, or as this tail section is, it's a -2. So that's how I came up to make sure everything's nice and square. It's the incident is right. The fuselage is really just along for the ride. It don't matter if it's a little crooked, as long as the engine, wings, and tail section right along square, this is going to fly very straight, and we're going to have very little trim to do when we fly it. Now the tail section already had this piece that was glued in, and when they glued it in, the horizontal here was crooked. So I went in and I was trying to break it out down where it was attached into the fuselage, and unfortunately it broke right here, which is not a big deal. I've already went in and made a piece, as you can see, to support it and be able to glue this back in. It won't be a big deal. And I've also added this piece, and it will go back up in here and tie the whole tail together and make it much more secure. Also, this is just thin fiberglass. It really needed something here. And if you notice, I beveled these edges. And that's because if you take your finger and run back up in here, it's a half round. So you got to bevel those to make that straight. But you can tell by doing that, it really is flexible. Let's see if we can get a good view. See how flexible that is? So, and when I broke that loose, immediately that the tail went back straight again. So all that tension and glue was holding that tail crooked. So now we're going to be able to have a nice horizontal is going to be nice and square with the tail. So we've got to glue this piece back in and then glue that piece and then re-drill our holes here, and we'll have the tail will be completed and ready to go. Now something you may be seeing is all these sandbags, and when I used to shoot trap, we used to buy lead shot in these little bags, and I saved them and I just put kitty litter in there, and it worked great for wheel chocks, to support an airplane, to have a second hand. They're just a great little tool to have in your workshop. Wow, this is a part of the video I really did not want to tell you guys, but unfortunately, I've somehow deleted all the videos that hadn't showed me mounting the wing to the fuselage. So there's nothing I can do about that. It's a lesson learned, bad mistake on my part. So what I'm going to do, once I get everything that I've done, that everything's still set up with the sandbags and the levels, and I have a few more things I want to do to get some straight things and glue some things on. Once I get all that done, I'm going to pull the wing off, lay it on the table, and I'm going to show you how I mounted the wings to the fuselage. And I'll show you some of the tools I used as well. I want these videos to not just be me talking. I want to show you how to do some of this stuff and some of the stuff I've learned over the years. People have told me, I've seen it in other videos, and I've taken all these things for 20 years of model building, and I want to share this information. It's one of the reasons I'm doing this video, is to share my information. And so I hope you enjoy the videos, but unfortunately, this part of the video I didn't want to have to make, but unfortunately, it is what it is. And you learn every day in life. It doesn't matter who you are or what you are. You learn about modeling. There's always new techniques, new tricks. Never be afraid to branch out and try something new. But anyway, oh man, oh well. When I pulled the bottom bolt from the strut, I used a clamp and pulled up on the wing, and I was able to get the hedral I want. So that's going to be as simple as re-drilling the hole and making that work better. So, and also, if you don't tie the wing to a light, the counterbalance of this wing will flop over and fall off the table. So I've got it tied to the light so that won't happen. Because at this point in the game, we're here to build the airplane, not repair the airplane. And that's a very important statement. Here are the wooden dowels that I cut. Really, they're just spacers and glued in. They're level on this side and this side. So it's really just a spacer. I'm going to come back on the other side, and once I pull the other wing off, and make a plywood plate that will go there. Really, it's just decorative to clean all that up, because somebody slotted the holes originally, and we need to address that, fill that in, make that look pretty again. So the wires used to come out here, and we're going to relocate them to come out here. It'll actually be a lot better to plug them in. And it also freed up my space, and there is a block in here to drill and tap, and that's what I did here as well. But unfortunately, I didn't have a hatch, so I had to cut a hole in the top of the wing, the bottom of the wing, and you can tell the blind nut is in there. And this is a lot like playing the game Doctor. You have to put your blind nut, get it down in there, run your bolt in, and then sink that into the plywood. And that's usually can be pretty hard to do. But I have a little trick. I have this I made up with an old engine mount. And what I do is I just put this in the hole and then start screwing it in. And that will pull that blind nut in. And it also gives you a big surface area, so you're not just pulling one little tiny bolt, taking a chance on cracking something. So it gives you a big surface to actually pull that straight in. And then also you have back here, there's another block. And again, it's like playing Doctor. You got to go in here and feed that in, and you just can't get your hands back in there. And then to cut this little hole, and I'm going to patch that back up. You'll never know that's there. I use a really thin blade. I mean, it is super thin. And this is the company that makes them. Wish that sticker wasn't there, but that's the company who makes it. They're really great for cutting out these the hatches, because they're so thin that it's not like a cutoff wheel that's so thick. You can cut a hatch and put it right back, and it'll stick there on its own. And also, when I'm cutting, I try to cut at a 45 degrees like this. Let's see if I can show it here, like that. So when you're putting this back piece back in, it is actually it's beveled, so it's actually just going to sit there. But I will come back in and put, like they do here, you can see the holes for mounting the hatch. I will come back and line this, so when I put this here, it won't fall through. Of course, I don't have to do anything here. And what this is a little bit of glue that when the spar, because the spar is right here, this is just a little glue that came out. It's not a big deal. It did make it a little bit more difficult to get down and put that in. But so that's how I mounted the wings. with these bolts. Also, the reason I'm choosing not to use the nylon is because I would have to have a flathead to put the wing together. So I'd have to have an Allen wrench and a flathead. Well, these just happen to be the same size Allen as what the mount that takes care of this. So one Allen wrench, and you can put the whole airplane together, and that makes a whole lot easier. And plus, I love these. These are really great. Just one connection and plug in, and I had to cut some of those to get these out because I couldn't get it out of that tiny little hole. So if you go in here, you can tell there's a hole right there. So that's where this is going to come out, and also the location of that hole versus here. Now the wiring is going to come right in this area, so it's going to work out so much better. Just a little cleaner design. And oh, by the way, this is not a horizontal, this is a vertical. You know, I'm not a professional. I misspeak sometimes. That's just the way it is. This is my shop. It's real time. So, hey, it is. If you guys watched all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. And if you will, please like, share, and subscribe. I'd really love to build this channel and do more videos. And if you guys have any comments, please feel free to comment, and I'll try to answer everybody. Thanks so much. You guys have a good one.